Well, welcome to www.happynumbers.org. Today's lesson we will be finding what percent one number is of another. Let's look at this example. 12 is what percent of 48? Well, 12 is part of 48. We want to know what percent that is. So the skill set is very simple. You create a fraction. The part, which is the 12, becomes the numerator. And the number itself, the whole, is the denominator. So 12 is what percent of 48? Well, we reduce this fraction. Well, we know we can divide both by 12. 12 goes into 12 one time. 12 goes into 48 four times. Now I have a fraction, and I'm going to change my fraction into a percent. Well, there are two methods that I can use. I can multiply by 100, or I could divide 4 into 1. Since 4 goes evenly into 100, I'm going to multiply by 100, or 100 over 1. 4 goes into 4 one time. 4 goes into 125 times. So I have 25 over 1, which gives me 25, and since I want to know the percent. So 12, the number 12 is 25% of the number 48. So again, very, very simple. All you do is create a fraction and then change the fraction into the percent. So let's try another problem. We're going to be looking at 16 is what percent of 64? Well, again, we simply change it into a fraction. The part is the numerator, the whole is the denominator, and then we reduce this to its lowest name. And I think we can divide by 16 and divide by 16, because I think 16 goes into 16 one time, 16 goes into 64 four times, I believe. Let's see. 16 times 4, that would be 24, carry the 2, yes. Okay, so 1664 goes to 1/4, and again, since the 4 will go evenly into 100, we'll use the 100 method, and we just did this in the last problem, and we know that it comes out to 25%. So 16 is 25% of 64. Let's try another one. Let's try 18 is what percent of 27. Okay, create our fraction. 18 over 27. We can divide by 9 to reduce, and divide by 9. 9 goes into 18 two times. 9 goes into 27 three times. Well, I'm not going to use the multiplying by 100 method because 3 doesn't go evenly into 100. But I know that this means 3 divided into 2. So I can use long division. Put my decimal up here. Well, 3 does not go into 2, but 3 can go into 20. 3 can go into 20, let's see, 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18, and we get 2, and we bring down a 0. 3 goes into 26 times. 6 times 3 is 18. We get 2, bring down a 0. 3 goes into 26 times, and it would just go on and on. So we can stop here. So we've divided 3 into 2, and we have a decimal fraction, and now we can change that to our percent. We know how to do that. If we're going from decimal to percent in the alphabet, we go 2 places to the right, and we get 66 6/10%. So the skill set is very, very simple. So I'm going to put up 2 problems for you. and have you work them. 21 is what percent of 35? And 36 is what percent of 48? Okay, so put the video on pause, work those problems, and then turn the video back on again, and we will do that. Okay, let's take the first one. 21 is what percent of 35? Well, we put 21 over 35, and we're going to reduce this, and we know we can use 7. So 7 and 7, we'll divide by 7 and divide by 7. 7 goes into 21 3 times. 7 goes into 35 5 times. Well, now I have to change the fraction to the percent. And since the denominator 5 will go evenly into 100, I'm going to use the multiply by 100 method. 5 goes into 5 1 time. 5 goes into 100 20 times. I multiply. 3 times 20 gives me 60. 1 times 1 gives me 1. So I have 60, and since I'm changing it into a percent, 60%. So 21 is 60% of the number 35. Excellent. Let's take a look at the second problem. "36 is what percent of 48? Well, we put 36 over 48. And now we want to divide, we want to reduce this. So what can we use here? Well, I think 12 would be the best. There are a lot of numbers we can use, but I think the biggest number is 12. So we'll divide both sides by 12. 12 goes into 36 3 times. 12 goes into 48 4 times. Well, I've created the fraction. So now what I want to do, since I know that 4 will go evenly into 100, I'm going to use the multiply by 100 method. 4 goes into 4 1 time. 4 goes into 100 25 times. Multiply. 3 times 25 would be 75. Over 1 would be 75%. Well, that's it. It's a fairly simple skill set. Quick review. If I want to find such and such is what percent of such and such, this becomes the numerator. This becomes the denominator of the fraction. You want to make sure it's reduced in lowest terms. Here we multiplied by 7. We got 3/5. And then you want to change the fraction into a percent. And there are two ways you can do that. You can multiply by 100, so I could go 3/5 times 100. 5 goes in that once, 5 goes in here 20 times, and I get 60 over 1, or 60%. So I could do the multiply by 100 method, or, oops, 3/5, my bad. I could divide 5 into 3. 5 cannot go into 3, but 5 can go into 30 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. And there's just 0, so this would be 0. So I know I'm going to change this decimal to a percent. So I move 2 places, and I wind up with 60%. So we can do it either way. Well, that's it. Thank you very much. Actually, the next lesson will be the second part of this. There are 2 ways to solve these problems. This is the first one. See you next time.